History of Russia in 100 Minutes by Smart Histories. Vladimir Putin. After Yeltsin's decade of almost unlimited freedom, but also confusion, Vladimir Putin re-established order and improved people's standards of living. His reign is characterized by restricted freedom, state-controlled media, corruption, and his own cult of personality. Putin has revived the wave of Russian nationalism and Soviet nostalgia, and relations with the West are consistently growing worse, gradually resembling the Cold War. Background: at the end of the 1980s, Vladimir Putin was a KGB officer in East Berlin, where he oversaw the collapse of the Soviet system. Sometime later, he worked for the mayor of Leningrad, that had again been renamed St. Petersburg, Anatoly Sobchak, and also in the Kremlin as the presidential property manager. Putin thereafter forged a career at the FSB, whose director he was from 1998 to 1999. The Yeltsin family, who were looking for a successor to Boris Yeltsin, found Putin reliable, and he was chosen as Yeltsin's successor. Prime Minister. In August 1999, Yeltsin introduced the new Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin, to the public. The move took the world by surprise. Yeltsin himself resigned on the 31st of December 1999. Presidency. Less than 4 weeks later, Putin's effective measures in dealing with the controversial apartment bombings in Moscow brought him fame. He immediately accused the Chechens and effectively launched the Second Chechen War, 1999 to 2000, that was victorious, and won the presidential election for him in 2000. But he also had to deal with the aftermath of the war in the form of Chechen terrorist attacks. In 2002, the Moscow theater hostage crisis, and then in 2004, the Beslan school siege, were poorly handled by the authorities and caused hundreds of civilians to die. The rule of Vladimir Putin saw the return of people from the security services and with military backgrounds. Siloviki. Putin asserted Kremlin control over regions, increased military spending, suppressed political opposition, confiscated the wealth of the oligarchs, and exerted control over the media. Numerous murders of journalists and opposition leaders have occurred that allegedly can be traced back to the FSB and the mafia, the two allegedly having many ties. Dmitry Medvedev. After his second term ended in 2008, Putin had to step down. He appointed his loyal minister, Dmitry Medvedev, as president, and survived the Great Recession as prime minister, often also criticizing the new president. In 2012, they exchanged places again. Foreign policy. Since the beginning of his third term in 2012, Putin has increasingly exerted economic, political, and military pressure on its neighbors, especially in the post-Soviet space. Putin's main goal is to block the influence of NATO and the United States, and to restore and maintain buffer zones by exerting Russian influence. The new Cold War. Since the Russo-Georgian War of 2008, Putin has again used military intervention as a means to serve this purpose. It is becoming more and more complex, with hybrid warfare tactics combining elements of irregular warfare and cyber warfare. In February 2014, Putin launched an extensive campaign against Ukraine. He annexed Crimea in March 2014. Thereafter, the lasting conflict in Ukraine had poisoned relations between Russia and the West. From 2015, Russia has also militarily participated in the Syrian civil war. Thank you for watching. For thousands of helpful resources of Russian history, please visit our website at smarthistories.com.